And welcome back to the Movie Pope podcast. And today we are going to review the new trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, this is something that we've been waiting for quite a while because because ever since Disney acquired Fox, there have been discussions about whether Deadpool, or not whether, but how Deadpool was going to enter the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And there have been many speculations out there, and you can watch them on YouTube. But today we're going to take a look and offer our reaction and take on Deadpool and Wolverine. But before we do, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with everybody that you know. We're looking to grow our audience, and we really, really could use your help. And the movie Pope himself isn't feeling too well, so if you can subscribe to the channel, it'll aid in his recovery a lot faster.
Oh my god, that's such manipulation. Oh my god.
You're supposed to be quiet. Keep coughing. But
There's so much blood.
But you're moving us. No, we did see this trailer when we were at a friend's Super Bowl party a few weeks ago. And at first when we saw, we were like, oh, we only saw a few clips, so we all went online feverishly. We actually had to stop the the streaming of the Super Bowl to go and find the trailer, and that took us 5 minutes, and then we actually watched it in full, and then we resumed streaming the Super Bowl. That's how intrigued we were with trying to see this trailer.
Absolutely, because Marvel, I mean, unfortunately, has been in a tailspin for some time. So not only do you have the whole Fox angle where you're worried about, like, okay, are they going to really dumb it down? What are you going to do with a character that's well known for being very out there? So you got so many things that are going on. So I think that this is still slated as the only Marvel movie that, excuse me, the only Marvel movie that they're putting out there. So I'll be very curious. I think that this is hopefully Marvel's at least attempt to, I can't say right the ship, but hopefully this is a strong outing compared to what we've seen previously.
No, I would say this. This would kind of kind of be seen as like a soft reboot in a way.
Yeah,
because,
that's absolutely true too.
Because and we'll probably discuss this a little bit afterwards. But I kind of got the feeling they're kind of taking a little bit from the graphic novel Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, where basically Deadpool goes across the Marvel Universe, killing everybody in the Avengers and Fantastic Four and everywhere else. But speaking of which, before we dive in, let's just do a little bit of news. Recently, we got the reveal of who the cast of the new Fantastic Four is going to be. And the two big names that popped out were Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards or Mr. Fantastic, and Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm or the Invisible Woman. Now, at first when I saw it, I was like, I thought this was just basically fan speculation, but after 24 hours, I began seeing more and more of the same thing, and I began to realize, oh, okay, so they're actually pretty serious about this. They're pretty much set on the on these four actors. Now, I will admit, a part of me was a little bit disappointed they didn't stick with John Krasinski, because we already saw him in his first outing as, I guess you could say, as a variant of Mr. Fantastic in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and I was part of that camp who said, yeah, if anybody's going to be Mr. Fantastic, it's going to be John Krasinski, and by default, Emily Blunt would play Sue Storm. What did you think about the cast reveal for the Fantastic Four?
I would say it's interesting. I mean, it's at the end of the day, I think Fantastic Four has such a negative stigma to it that I'm more interested in actually how they're going to hopefully pull off this. Who knows how many attempts now at creating this? Because I think pretty much all of them have been pretty underwhelming, to put it lightly. With the most recent one, the infamous Fan Four Stick, just being a total abomination of a film. So, casting to me is interesting. A lot more concerned with, are you able to finally give a good adaptation of the Fantastic Four? And that's what I'm really hoping for. So I mean, Pedro Pascal's been everywhere. I think he kind of brings kind of an interesting look to it. I do like Vanessa Kirby, but it's just right now it's kind of hard to, I would say, envision anything outside of, okay, how are you actually going to create a good, interesting story that we've yet to see from very, very popular characters.
Yeah,
So hopefully they finally figure it out.
because I mean, because I mean, I'll say this: I think Pedro Pascal is a great actor, and he's been in some pretty good series. Over the past what 5 to 7 years. Obviously, The Mandalorian, and The Last of Us. Those are the two big that come to mind. Um, and he's pretty good, and he's a pretty good actor. So so there's no reason to think that he would he would fail at this latest venture.
Yep.
Um,
And I'll
and
say probably the only good thing I liked about Wonder Woman 1984 was his character. So
yeah,
another positive
yeah,
on that boat.
So this will actually be his first proper superhero outing as a superhero, and as opposed to a villain. Um, and then obviously we've got Vanessa Kirby, who is a phenomenal actress, because I thought she was one of the bright spots in Napoleon, which we will review at some point. Um, and we thought she did a pretty good job in the most recent Mission Impossible movie as the White
Yeah.
Widow.
Hmm.
So, so there's no reason to think that, that's going to be overall bad, but I'm with you. Like, I mean, you could have the most phenomenal cast out there, but if the story stinks and the direction, is
Absolutely.
awful, then
Absolutely.
you're pretty much holding the bag for, over $1 million, or close to $1 billion, I should say. Um, not to mention, not to mention too that that Marvel, like you said, Marvel's been going to a tailspin, and it's gotten even worse with the whole Jonathan Majors scandal, because
Yes.
everybody pinned their hopes. They're like, "Yep, Jonathan Majors is the next Josh Brolin. He is gonna come in here, manipulate events, and basically, drive the Avengers into taking action in this two-parter." And then we found out he was a wife beater, and he got fired. And now Marvel is left scrambling. Well, what do we do now? Who's going to be the next big baddie?
Hmm.
So, at this point, let's also remember to the director for slated for the Avengers movies. He quit. So now it's like, where do we go from here? Because originally it was supposed to be what was the multiverse saga, right? And then it was supposed to be the Kang saga, and now it's just a free for all. It's like, well, we don't know what's going on, but it's whatever. And it's not like the qualities of the movies are getting any better. And I mean, have they announced any new TV shows coming out? Do you know?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I know watched.
Because I wouldn't be surprised if they did, but but I've just been so apathetic. I just haven't paid any attention, because because you did a review of Echo,
Yes.
which we will air later on this month, and it was very underwhelming. It's
Yes.
the polite way to put it, shall we say? Um,
Very right. So
if they do if they do another Marvel series, obviously get it. So they do another Marvel series. Obviously, they want to get it right, but at the same time, it's like, you know you actually want to make it good instead of being this desperate thing. So
yeah. Plus, I mean, they did kind of. Some people out there have been talking about, like, is Doctor Doom going to be what eventually replaces Kang and everything that's going on there? So another reason that this could have a whole lot of weight to it, because you're scrambling to try to find a new villain. Is that villain in your Fantastic Four film? Who knows? But another thing that I think definitely should have people on their toes about this movie success or lack thereof.
now Doctor Doom is a legit villain, because
Yeah,
in the comic
absolutely.
yeah, because in the comics and in the TV shows, he has he has shown himself to be a legitimate threat to the Avengers. So I wouldn't, so I wouldn't be surprised if they make Doctor Doom the next villain, and this would be, and it would be an opportunity to bring the Avengers and the Fantastic Four together. That being said, I mean, you want to be very careful in who you cast, Marvel, because you already messed it up with one casting with Jonathan Majors. Um, Maybe do a little bit of background check on on whoever you cast as Doctor Doom. Now, I'm in the camp of getting a voice actor to to do Doctor Doom, kind of like with what Pedro Pascal did in The Mandalorian, where he just did the voice, and you had another actor doing the physical acting, right? And I would even go so far as to say maybe get a veteran voice actor like Stephen Bloom, because you could probably agree with me on this one too, because Stephen Bloom does have a sort of gravitas to play, a villainous character, you know.
Sure. Yeah, I think if you go down that path, you obviously can create this really, really strong villain. I think the whole thing comes down to in the Mandalorian, obviously, wearing his mask is all wearing his helmet is a huge part of his character. Doom obviously has stuff that he wears, but do you want to have that face be constantly covered up, or how do you want to play that? So I think there's a lot of things that you have to look at as far as what you want to create into doing something.
If they do it,
Because,
if they do it smart, if they like have like occasional flashbacks, that can work,
oh, absolutely, yeah. There's absolutely ways that you could pull this off. But I don't know with the track record we've gotten recently. I don't know how much confidence I have in that, right? So it's kind of the same thing with like the Halo series right now. Like, Master Chief, well known for not having a whole lot of visibility in the show, just wouldn't even know he's the Master Chief. Like, it feels like they went very polar opposite take for that. So
yeah, I
there's
really
a lot
really
of
hate
things
that.
with how you want to do this.
I really, really hate that, because you just destroy the allure and mystery of Master Chief. Like when they did that, it was like like what's the point anymore? Like, why even bother? Like
Yep.
you
Yeah.
might as well
Why?
you might as well make Cortana a dude or something and call him Cortanus or something.
There's a lot of ways that could go good, and a lot of ways that could go bad.
All right, let's go ahead and dive into this trailer here.
All right.
Happy birthday to you.
I love that haters.
All right, okay. It's been a challenging few years, for sure. But I'm happy. That is because of each and every one of you. I'm the luckiest man alive.
Make a wish, buddy.
Wade Wilson?
Who's asking? Whoa, 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 whoa. Is that supposed to be scary? Pegging isn't new for me, friendo, but it is for Disney.
I just love that. I think it's such a good thing to see that, because we're all worried about them turning it down.
Mr. Wilson, you appear to have soiled yourself while unconscious.
I wasn't unconscious. Who are you? Why am I here?
Walk with me.
Also, how the TVA outfits are a little bit different.
Wait. You are special. This is your chance to be a hero among heroes.
I smell what you're stepping in, Sensei. Your little cinematic universe is about to change forever. I'm the Messiah. I am Marvel Jesus.
Might be at this stage.
God, please! Oh my God! God, I love this part. Wait!
Here he comes.
Don't just stand there, you ape. Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much.
will say, find it very interesting that we don't actually see Hugh Jackman at all. Like, I know, like, there's so many things online where you see him and everything. So there's tons of stuff with him out there. But very interesting in the trailer that they opt out of actually physically showing him. I do find that interesting.
But but that brief shot is just enough to like get the blood going, though.
Oh, of course, of course.
And
Yeah.
and he's also wearing the classic Wolverine outfit as well, which which for me, is even better because because I've been waiting for years to see Hugh Jackman donning the blue and yellow. Because I
Yep,
mean,
that yellow spandex.
yeah, as opposed to that dark stuff that he was wearing in the X-Men movies of the
Mhm.
early 2000s. But I mean, but we mentioned it before. I mean, it looks like it looks like what they're doing here is kind of like a soft reboot in a way because because ever since they started doing the whole streaming thing of streaming shows, it kind of felt like they were just piling on a lot of a lot of stuff onto it, right? Onto the slate, and it kind of just felt like just more and more of this crap was getting piled on, and it was slowly starting to give way. So I feel like I kind of and there's no evidence to back this up. This is just me speculating here. It kind of feels like this would be a good way to kind of for a way for Marvel to kind of clean house using Deadpool, who
Yeah.
as we've seen in the comics has done a lot of the dirty work as the Merc with the mouth. And as I mentioned before, there was a graphic novel called Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, where he actually went around killing a bunch of Marvel characters from the Avengers to the Fantastic Four to the X-Men. So so it wouldn't be surprising if the TVA kind of has him pursuing a very similar role, albeit not in the tragic and villainous way that occurs in the comics, but more in a more humorous, lighthearted way. Kind of like what we saw at the end of Deadpool 2, where he kind of went across the multiverse and he killed, Ryan Reynolds before he could take the job as Green Lantern.
Yes. Yep. Not to mention killing the original Deadpool version, right? The one that we got from one of those terrible X-Men movies.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Wolverine
That's right.
Origins. I don't even remember which of the all the different names are out there. So yeah, never would have imagined. So I remember watching Deadpool for the first time, right? Would you ever imagine that that's the character that's going to try to save the MCU at some stage? It's just weird to think
Yeah.
about that. You've gotten to the stage that Marvel has just kind of fallen off a cliff so hard that now what we're talking about is a comic relief character that's going to try to bail you out of the situation you're in, because we've come to the stage that so many Marvel TV shows, movies, and everything else have just been underperforming so bad that your hero is going to be Deadpool. It's just really funny to think about that they've gotten to the stage.
I mean, he's basically the damage control for the Marvel Cinematic Universe at this point.
Yeah. When he says he's Marvel Jesus, I mean, there's probably some truth to that, because I think the success of this is going to go a long way. I think they've made it very clear with the fact that they have just this one movie coming out this year.
Yeah.
I think that they understand that, look, we're putting a lot on this. So I do think that it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out. I mean, I definitely really enjoyed the first one. Second one was also good. I really, really liked Deadpool. So hopefully the third one still does it. But man, there's just a lot going on here. How's it going to work with it being with Disney? I think the way they kind of opened the trailer was really telling, because we've all been worried about that. Like, how is Disney going to do it? Are you going to allow Deadpool to be Deadpool? And certainly from the trailer, I think we're getting enough of that. So I hope that they really take that to heart, and they don't sugarcoat this movie, and just allow the character to be the character without trying to change up anything. Just let Deadpool be Deadpool.
Right. Don't try to make him kid friendly, because
He's not.
because if the first two movies have shown anything, it's the fact that he's far from kid friendly.
Yep. He even makes a joke of that, right? I think in the first one, it's like, oh yeah, well, here I am. He's like got the guy he's holding up a guy that's swords. Is like, look, I just made this human shish kebab, right? Like he literally points out in the first 2 minutes of the film, the starting off, that he is not, kind of that stereotypical superhero type of ideal. So, yeah, I just hope that Disney gets that and they don't try to butcher this. Otherwise, I have a lot of people being really concerned about whatever Marvels could be doing in the future.
Well, to go back to your point about Marvel relying on on the sort of joking character, it reminds me of that scene from the first Avengers movie where Loki asks Nick Fury, how desperate are you to rely on lost I'm paraphrasing here, on these lost creatures, and Nick Fury tells him, you're invading Earth and causing all this mayhem. You've made me a very desperate man.
Yeah.
I think that's what Kevin Feige's probably thinking right now. Like he's probably watched that scene from the first Avengers movie and it's like, yep, I'm Nick Fury. I'm the guy who's telling Loki you've made me a very desperate man. Because because Marvel's become this huge bloated behemoth that that's not that's just churning out content for the sake of churning out content, right?
Yes.
I mean, now that isn't to say like Marvel, has always made classic gems, because we only need to look at the early years of the MCU, like Thor: The Dark World, for instance, or the first Thor movie, or Iron Man 3. But but there's a lot to be said, when you start adding like all these different elements to the to the shared universe, and these elements don't necessarily play any major role. They're just there, like Echo, for instance, or What If, right? Because like as nice as it is to see what it's like in the multiverse, do we really care about Captain Carter? Like, because like season 2 of What If, just it was the Captain Carter show basically. And because post Endgame, the only real successful Marvel movie was, what was it? Spider-Man. Was it Far From Home or No Way Home? I forget. It was the one that brought in Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. That was like the one that got everybody really interested and did pretty well in the box office. Because ever since, all the other Marvel movies have been a stinker. I mean, we only need to look at the Marvels, and there was an article recently where they asked they're asking Brie Larson about that, and she's like, I've got nothing to say about about the movie bombing. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, there's really nothing you can say, because how can you defend it?
Yeah, I mean, it was the same thing, and I mean, I always find it weird when reporters ask that stuff, and I think I remember there was a similar thing for the actress that played Miss Marvel. She's like, well, that's not my problem. That's Marvel's problem. Like, she's right? Like, I mean, unfortunately,
Because she didn't sit down and write the script. I mean,
yeah, it's like she's not the one that's doing the marketing. She's not the one that's a part of that creative process. Like, all she could do, and all really any of those characters could do, is just go out there and do what you can with the role that you got. And like I said, I think I will say this: the hate for the Marvels, I think, is a little bit extreme. I did watch it, and it's just nothing. And I don't know if that's better or worse that it's just nothing.
But it's not enough to elicit that much hatred.
Oh, of course, yeah. And I will say this too: that ultimately, we're expecting more, right? When you put out really good content, or you've put out good content in the past, as you start to get even to just being average, people start to notice that stuff. So I think, unfortunately, like, you peaked really high. So now even content that might have been borderline average is now being thrown in the dumpster. So it's just another reason why there's so much put on this Deadpool, because really I think it's your opportunity to really do something.
Yeah, and I think you alluded to this earlier. I mean, Deadpool does have a successful track record in the box offices. So,
yeah,
so it would stand to reason that you're going to take one of Fox's most successful can you call it a franchise? I guess sub franchise, and kind of capitalize on that and use it as a way to kind of boost Marvel's standings in the box office. Because let's face it, we're living in a world now where whenever you go to a movie theater, right? Um, you're always going to see one Marvel movie, as part of the offering, right? Because you got the obligatory Marvel movie, you got the art house film, you got the foreign film, you got the kiddie film, and then you got some other film that's that is gonna at least win one Oscar this year. So so it's one of those things where it's like you know after a while you kind of don't expect much from it. So that for me, that's why it was a bit surprising that everybody had so much hatred for the Marvels, because like you said, it offered nothing to begin with. So it's just surprising that people found something in it to dislike about it vehemently, that they would say, yeah, this is like one of the worst outings out there. Because it's not perfect. I mean, you saw the movie. I mean, there's nothing about it
Oh,
that
it's not
that
good.
makes
Don't get me
yeah,
wrong.
yeah. But at the same time, it's like there's nothing bad about it either, to the point where you're just gonna like waste your time trying to argue that it's one of the worst movies ever made. It's empty calories, basically. Um, what's even funnier, I think, is the fact that the actress who played the villain in the Marvels, she's engaged to Tom Hiddleston, who plays Loki. So, so can you imagine what that conversation's like at home? It's like, hey, honey, I've been in the successful, these successful runs of movies, and I'm a beloved character, and then you come along and you're a villain, and your movie stinks. So yeah, how was your day? Like, that must be a really interesting conversation at home, between those two. I think I kind of imagine I kind of imagine like like the day after, she probably told Tom Hiddleston, it's like, let's just make one thing clear: we do not talk about the Marvels at home. We do not talk about it ever. All right, we'll just we'll just pretend like it's never happened at all.
Got a paycheck. That's what matters for some people.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, I'm famous for Bridgerton. I'm good. I don't need to worry about anything else. Um, but yeah, go ahead and let us know down in the comments below what you think of Deadpool. If you think this is going to as Wade says it, be the moment where Marvel Jesus comes and saves the MCU, or if it could, or if this will finally be the moment where Deadpool falls flat on his face. I'll admit I do have some high hopes for it. It looks like they're not pulling any punches. They're staying true to the spirit of Deadpool, but but then again, we've got, because that comes out in July. That's what, like 4 months away. So a lot, a lot can happen during that time. A lot more leaks can come out. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and remember to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Take it easy.